Before we start the podcast, a big shout out to our sponsors and partners, Gym Pro Apparel. They're making waves in the health and fitness industry at the moment. They've got some great gym wear for men and women, so be sure to check them out in the link below. Right, let's get cracking with the episode. Arjhan,
how's it going, Gian?
Welcome back to Below the Belt podcast. How you doing?
All good, man. All good. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Let's jump straight into it. We'll jump straight into the questions. You know what, I was actually browsing your Instagram the other day. Obviously, there's quite a few topics that I wanted to get you back on to talk about, but let's talk about you first. I know we spoke a little bit about you in the last podcast, but one of the posts that I saw was obviously your whole business is coaching, right? And physically and mentally developing kind of men and women and helping them on that journey. But just in terms of your coaching per se, you actually almost took a completely different route in life, right? Where you almost went down the accountancy route, becoming an accountant and following that kind of education path. But why was that? Why did you almost pack it in, and why didn't you pack in the coaching?
So if we take it back to literally when I got into personal training, it was only going to be a part-time thing. So when I finished university, I actually did management with accounting.
Yeah.
And I got a 2-1 from Royal Holloway. Plan was do the SEMA qualifications. And that was the plan, go down that route. And because I couldn't get a job, because no one would hire me because I didn't have any experience, I was like, I need to do something. And I also got married really young. So I was engaged in my second year of uni. So 23 years old, I was engaged.
That is young, yeah.
Yeah, when I finished uni at 23, I got married that summer.
Okay.
So there's me thinking, I need to get a job. I need to do all these things. So my wife was like, why don't you do personal training course? Because I used to train quite a lot. And
so is this all because of your wife, basically?
She actually gave me the money to do the course.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was like £1,600.
Yeah.
It was like a part-time personal trainer qualification thing. So I was like, all right, cool, let me do this. Because I was interested in it, but it was meant to be part-time. I turned my nanny's garage, who lives next door to me.
Oh, okay.
So her garage, I turned that into a gym.
Is that where you do your coaching now, or your own training now?
So
that's a good little garage, that is.
Yeah,
some good equipment
so
as well.
It was smaller first. So it was in the front garage.
Yeah.
And then as I got like deep into it, we built it at the back, like a bigger space.
Okay, yeah.
But again, still at my nanny's house. So my nanny, she's two doors down from me.
It's a good space though.
Yeah.
I've seen.
So now it's a lot bigger, but the original garage was like a single garage, so you could fit in one car basically. But yeah, so I turned that into a studio.
Yeah.
And then after a few years, we upgraded to the bigger garage.
Okay.
And then I started doing that online coaching, but that was never the plan. The plan was literally to do it as a part-time thing, because it just got busier and busier. I just put more into it, and then it just grew bigger and bigger.
Okay.
But yeah, so then I was at a point, this is before I was going to do online coaching properly. So I've been training I've been a personal trainer for about almost 9 years or something like that.
Oh, really? So you were deep into personal training at that point?
And I was earning a decent amount. So imagine you're charging between kind of 40 to 50 pounds a session. I would do about, on a busy day, I'd hit 8 sessions. On a not so busy day, about 6.
Yeah.
And that was 6 days a week. I had 1 day off. So I was making probably 6-7K a month before tax.
Yeah.
But then as my family grew, and me and my wife, we got 2 kids at this point, living with my parents as well. I was thinking like, we need our own space, you need to like, and then I was just questioning whether I was making enough.
Being efficient with your time, because it must have been taking up a lot of your physical time as well, right?
Exactly. So when you're doing personal training, often you're training people early mornings. In the day, there'll be some, but then it's in the evenings. And because my kids are young, I was thinking, I'm missing a lot of time with them. So I really was like questioning, should I just get a normal 9 to 5? I went to uni, I got good grades through school and everything like that. Even the SEMA qualification, I'd done some of it, but I hadn't completed it.
Was there pressure from your family to turn to a 9 to 5?
So my mum, she's very heavy into education.
Yeah.
So she wasn't, I wouldn't say she was quite happy with the career path I was going down, personal training. She's always been saying to me, oh, you should be working in the city,
Why is it that up near parents think sitting behind a desk in a corporate life, you've made it, you've made life? Because that's not necessarily the case, is it?
No, so I think I think it comes down to because like my grandparents come over here.
Yeah.
They did like labor work, and then eventually my grandparents did. Like we got corner shops, liquor stores, like typical Indian family, yeah. And my dad grew up working in the shops, and then I worked in the shop for a bit, but obviously just helping out. But I think the thing was like get educated, go to uni,
Have an easy life.
yeah. So I get why they do it, why they push you that way, because they're
sense.
like we work so hard. And you see these guys, they're earning more money in the city. So
physically it's easier, but not necessarily it gives you the mental clarity that you want, right?
Exactly. And I think especially nowadays, there's so many ways you can make money.
Yeah.
So I think back in the day, because when I was growing up, I think Instagram was quite new. YouTube was quite new. So this is when I was like early days of uni. No one's really making careers off these platforms. But now it's like you can sell products through Instagram. All my coaching, a lot of my clients I get through Instagram. So it's like a total different way to make money. But yeah, so then I come to a crossroads. I was thinking it was like around Christmas time. And as I was saying, I had a few glasses. I had a few drinks. And then I was thinking, right, I might actually pivot. I might go down the accounting qualification. I spoke to my mum.
Yeah.
I was like, Mum, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And she's like, yeah, look, I've always thought you should be kind of following that type of way, down that kind of more career path.
Yeah.
Then while I was a little bit tipsy, I applied to this business mentorship that taught you basically how to do online coaching, how to scale your business. And I actually did it. I forgot I did it. I forgot I applied. Next day, get an email saying, get booked onto a Zoom call with us. So I spoke to the guy. His name's Mark Coles, really highly respected guy in the industry. And I jumped on his program. And within 6 months, I went from personal training to completely online coaching. And I've more than kind of tripled my income.
So it's a game changer, really.
Massive. But even so, the investment, doing the course. So imagine I'm doing the call with him, all good, going through things. He's asking me about my business. What do I want to do? Where do I want to take it? End of the call, he drops the price. He's like, it's 11 grand.
Wow.
For 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck, 11 grand. Yeah. I did not think it would be that much. I thought it was going to be about 4, 5 maybe tops. Yeah. And then I remember speaking to my wife and I was like, look, this is the cost. I'd saved the money up as well. So I thought, fuck it, let's just do it. So put the money down. And then I ended up actually extending another 6 months with him. But the extension rate was less. It was like 8 grand. So I spent 19 grand in 1 year on a business mentorship. But I made that money back. Literally, I started in January with him. And obviously January's a busy time anyway. But I made like 10 grand in January.
Wow.
And I was
what made you know? Because obviously there's a lot of people out there selling courses. Some of them are fads. Some of them, clearly this guy, it was worth it. But how did you? Because that's a lot of money. How did you know what he was selling and the advice he was going to give you was the right thing, or were you essentially risking 10 grand?
It was a bit of a risk, but I had known, I think, 3 people that have used the services.
Oh, okay.
So there's a recommendation as well.
Yeah.
And I'd followed him on Instagram for a long time before that. And I had, I'd actually, way back as well, I applied to something, but I just never went through with it. So it's always something that was in the back of my mind. But yeah, he was just...
Would you ever go down that mentorship route yourself?
Personally, probably not. I think because I like doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But you know that post I made on Instagram the other day, just kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
I have had a lot of people just reach out to me, and I've done a couple of calls with people, just giving them some advice. Because I'm pretty open book. I'm like, look, this is what I did.
Yeah.
This is how it helped me, and this is what I would kind of advise you to do if you want to go down this route. But I don't think I would be like a business mentor guy, because I think to do that you'd have to be really successful yourself first before you teach other people. But I think
I think success can be considered different things, though, right?
Yeah, I do. But I think a business mentorship is teaching you basically how to make more money, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think unless you've kind of hit a point where you're like killing it yourself and you think, you know what, I can really teach other people this.
Yeah.
I think then, maybe you step into that role. But for me, I'm still early in my, I've only been, like I said, doing the online coaching properly for about 3 years now, like full time.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'd go down that road.
I think this is the thing with a lot of your posts, and another reason why I thought you'd be good to have on the podcast for a second time. It's really relatable, a lot of the stuff that you say. And for a lot of up near South Asians, we're trying to find our paths in life, right? Whether it be career paths, purpose, or whatever it may be. And because if you think about it, even myself growing up, I feel like with a lot of up and there's that pressure to be a lawyer, a doctor, a pharmacist, the typical,
get that degree, get that photo.
Do the typical thing, right? But I don't think that's always the right way to go, because in a lot of ways that may not give you the purpose that you're seeking in life. So yeah, that's why I thought it was quite a relatable post, because you had the choice, and there's nothing wrong with obviously if you took the accountancy,
it's a good route,
route as well, but that's not everybody's route, right? And you clearly knew you were. I feel like you there would have been something deep down telling you were probably meant for something different, so you found your way. But what advice would you give to other people who are unsure about their career path, or maybe stuck at a crossroads like yourself?
I said earlier, like there's lots of different ways you can make money, especially online now. But you need to have something that you really like enjoy. So the personal training, it's like I really did enjoy it. It was just when I come to that point, I was thinking, is it going to make me enough to support my family? So that was my kind of roadblock, was am I going to make enough? That's where obviously the online coaching is a lot more scalable. So I think whatever you're doing, you have to think, imagine you've got two jobs at the moment. You've got your like 9 to 5, and then maybe you've got like a side business which you want to grow and develop. But I think you have to be realistic and think, right, can I monetize this? Is it just like a hobby, or is it like something you can, I don't know, sell products on, sell services?
Yeah.
But then one thing I would say is, I think then there needs to come a point where you kind of bite the bullet and just say,
take a leap.
Take a leap, like I did with that mentorship. It was like, I bit the bullet, I put the money down, fuck it, let's go. So I
feel like that's where you probably don't give yourself credit, but a lot of people there would have stepped back.
Could have.
Thought, that's too much of a risk.
Too
much of an investment. But you saw the long-term vision, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then it's like, and also, you know, like, and this is another thing as well. So sometimes people, they love going for cheap options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've noticed with my own coaching, since I've raised my prices, so over the years, obviously you charge more as you get
inflation,
better.
mate.
yeah, there's that as well. But then obviously the more skills I got, the more qualifications I got, you know, you start charging more.
Yeah, because you're adding more value to the people that you're coaching.
Exactly. And then so what the mentor said to me straight away, he was like, he saw what I was offering as my services. He was like, double your price.
Yeah.
I was like, what? He was like, double it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went from charging people, say, £100 a month for online coaching. It went to beyond 200 a month. And I thought, this is going to like not work.
Leap, right?
This, like I was worried because I was thinking people are just not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be too expensive.
Yeah.
And he just gave me the confidence. He's like, look, you got a good service. I had some decent results already.
Yeah.
He goes, look, just trust me. And then anyway, I've done that. And what I found was people that are willing to put more money down were more committed. So it's like,
she would be logically makes sense. Yeah.
Even me, when I put that money down for that mentorship, I'm thinking, shit, I better do this.
11 grand, mate.
Exactly. So if it was a thing where it was just, you know, money where you don't really, you know, whatever, I think your commitment levels can drop quite a lot. So I found that with myself as well, is with my actual one-to-one coaching, it's not cheap, it's not the most expensive, but it's pretty up there. And people I train and I coach, a lot of them are committed, and then I get good results. And then when you get good results, you know, that becomes more marketing, more people want to join. So it kind of goes like that. But if you be too cheap when you're offering a service, it's not always
it's not always good, is it? Yeah, that's a good point. And it shows that you value yourself as well in terms of what you're about to put out there. But in terms of, let's say, people who are looking for the right coach for them, whether it be the right personal trainer, just the right coach when it comes to physical or mental development. Actually, no, specifically physical development. Would you say that coach needs to be consistently in shape himself if he's coaching other people how to stay in shape?
I do think so. Yeah, I do think, like, if you're someone that's preaching something or teaching something, you need to kind of be proof in the pudding type of thing. Not always though. Like, there are some coaches that are really knowledgeable and maybe they're not in the greatest shape. So you do get those, but then I think especially in my field, I think being in shape is just a massive advantage. And especially like if you're telling people about diet, nutrition, training, I think you should look the part as well.
Yeah.
So I do know some coaches that are really knowledgeable and they're not in great shape.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to be like super ripped either. 'Cause I think social media has really skewed what in shape is. People think you've got to have washboard abs, all year round. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Especially now with Instagram,
Yeah.
you can edit, you can filter, the videos are mad. It's like you could do so much like crazy stuff. So people actually look at, and also I think we're gonna talk about this, but like steroids and stuff like that. People.
You never know how someone's got to the point.
Exactly.
Whether it be editing, whether it be performance enhancing drugs, or whatnot.
But I think you should be in good shape. That's what I think. Like you should look like you go to the gym if you're telling people to go to the gym.
I think that's the one thing I liked about your coaching, and probably why I recommend you to people as well. I think my brother-in-law Neil, he's being coached by you at the minute, and the reason that I pushed him towards you was because you're very relatable to how a lot of us kind of South Asian guys live, especially up in there. Like, we want to look in good shape, we want to look and feel the part, but we also want to be able to be sociable as well. Have a little beer here, have a little mixed grill, but everything in like kind of moderation. And I think you do that, right? And that's a type of way of living which I think is very sustainable, and sustainable being the key word. So that's what I often look at the coach for me. Like, the coach, you need to be able to relate to that coach, because for me, if they're not staying in shape relatively, and obviously your body changes throughout the year, everyone's does, mine does. If you're not relatively in shape physically and mentally year round, how are you going to expect somebody else to sustain their program and what you're putting them on? Do you know what I mean? So that's why I found you quite relatable. But do you know what? Let's go on to that, because I know we mentioned steroids, which we'll come on to in a minute. But just talking specifically again about like kind of cultural issues and things that can often affect our performance, whether it be in the gym. Alcohol, is that a big problem, would you say, for Upper, for South Asians? I think for Upper specifically, drinking a lot of alcohol is as bad as it sounds. It's what we're known for in a lot of ways, right?
Especially Punjabis, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's ingrained in our culture. You look on, you go on to like the music channels, right? You've got mateys, jut, bottle, this, that. They're like, I think it's been glorified, which is like I drink actually. I always say to everyone, I'm not a heavy drinker, but I'd say frequent. Most weekends I have a few drinks. I'll even sometimes have a whiskey on my own, just like chilling. I'll have a whiskey, chill, right? But then I think too many people, especially as I've gotten older, I've noticed that alcohol, it ruins them. Like it definitely takes over. They do way more stupid shit when they're drunk, and then it becomes a bad habit. Like I feel like with me sometimes though, I'm a little bit different, because I do all my training, I do all of this, I take care of all my business, and then I have a bit of chill.
There's a lot of people who can't do that.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of people are like, they've got responsibilities, but they're finding themselves, in the pub and not doing those responsibilities. So I do think it's a big problem, and I do think as well it's also with alcohol, it leads on to other things. So other drugs, whether it be cocaine, weed, all of those type of things.
Spiral, right?
Yeah, like how many people would do cocaine if they weren't drinking? It's always like they're drunk and then they do it, and then they still do it more often and regular, and that can become a big issue. But it's quite funny because with alcohol, I think on one of my posts I was like, my relationship with alcohol is quite a funny one.
Yeah.
Like some of the best things that have happened to me in my life have been when I've been drunk.
Yeah.
Like some of the nights out, obviously, but obviously there are points where you take it too far. I think it's quite a funny story. I was saying to my wife, shall I tell Gian this story? Yeah, she was like, no. She was like,
you gotta say it now.
Yeah, she was like, no, I don't think you should say that one.
Now I want to hear it.
So imagine it's my wife's first cousin's wedding.
Yeah.
They've done it at a golf course.
Yeah.
And we all stayed the night there. It was like a hotel. Weather was wicked. The wedding was really good. I had a few drinks, had a good time, partying and stuff like that. Anyway, the next morning, we've all gotten up. Everyone's going down to breakfast. I don't ever eat breakfast. So I'm just like, my first meal of the day is around 11 a.m. And before that, I either would have trained or possibly I walk my dogs, right?
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning, I just can't eat. I'm just not, don't have the appetite for it. So anyway, we've gotten up, gone downstairs. Everyone's eating breakfast. I'm like, nah, I don't really want to eat. I just want to chill. One of my cousins like, should we grab a pint? I'm like, yeah, cool. So you're like one of the morning pints after the night before. So we're there, me and him having a pint. Then the groom's dad comes down. He joins us. Then before we knew it, we're on the balcony outside. We got like a whole party going on.
Yeah.
And we play this game called the penny game.
Yeah.
Which is basically, we always play it at all my cousins play it. We're at a wedding or party.
Yeah.
If I'm holding a drink, someone chucks a penny.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah,
before.
so someone chucks the penny in
you
there.
You have to down it.
You got to down it. Now you've got the penny and you
Put it in someone else.
You can get someone else,
Once
right?
you down your drink, yeah.
So in the morning, I'm sitting there with a fresh pint. I've had one already now. This is my second one. My cousin comes from behind me, drops the penny in the thing, and now I've got to down this whole pint.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But everyone's there.
Game,
everyone's
right?
like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, man. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck. So anyway, I downed it. Next thing you know, my cousins ordered tequilas.
Yeah.
And then I must have got pennied another like 2 times on full pints.
Yeah.
Because the drunker you're getting.
Yeah.
And this is
The less aware you are.
yeah,
people,
exactly.
Yeah.
The less aware you are. And this is like 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty licked.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, look, we got to go home.
Yeah.
So check out. And then it was my wife was driving my brother-in-law's car. My mother-in-law, my brother-in-law and me were in the car.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the front. My wife's there driving. My mother-in-law sitting behind me.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law sitting behind my wife.
Yeah.
So we're driving home and then I feel to puke up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, you got to pull over.
Yeah.
So I pull over. I'm like yakking on the side.
Yeah.
I get back in the car and I'm like, like wrecked.
Yeah.
Like proper like, like this.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing like some buds, yeah?
You shit yourself, yeah.
No, I didn't shit myself, yeah? But imagine I'm so drunk
Yeah.
and these are like some wedding food, whiskey, tequila
Oh,
farts,
mate.
yeah? And my mother-in-law sitting behind me.
Nah.
So imagine I'm there
grim.
and I can smell how bad they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry, like this, yeah? But it's like, bro, I couldn't. Oh my day. So anyway, and this is like on the way home. It's about a bloody hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
And it's I get home and it was a nice day, I remember.
That car must have
Yeah,
fucking
honestly.
stunk.
Oh, mate, so embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
And then my wife literally, she's like, I got out the car. I was laid down in my garden on the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just conked out on my
Yeah.
grass. And my kids are there. And they're like, what happened to daddy? Because they didn't come to the wedding with us.
Yeah.
And then where I live as well. So I say my nanny lives next
Yeah.
to me. My pua lives down the same road. And my
Okay.
mum and dad live 2 doors down.
Yeah.
And even my sister-in-law, they live on the
Yeah.
same road. So there's
Ah,
4
okay.
houses.
Yeah.
Everyone's come over to my house. I'm lying there just KO, and they're thinking like, "What the hell's happened to this guy?"
Yeah.
But I'm saying that alcohol. That's like a bad extreme, yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened to me maybe a handful of times in my life.
Yeah.
And I think everyone does. Like when they
Yeah.
drink, there'll be times where they drink too much,
Yeah.
whatever. But most of the time, I'm pretty controlled with my alcohol, and most of my cousins know me as like I don't really ever get too drunk or messy. So that's obviously a bad experience. But then I said on my post that I made, I was like, both of my kids, neither of them were planned. And they honestly were off the back of drunken nights.
Yeah.
so-
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
so-
Yeah.
And having my kids, those two, that's one of the best things that's
Yeah.
ever happened to me. Yeah. So that's like a good thing that's happened.
Yeah.
And then even when I did the business mentorship, which literally changed my whole...
You said you were like drunk when you applied or something.
Yeah, like I wasn't drunk, but I had a few glasses.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
maybe if I didn't have the glasses, I maybe would not have applied.
Had the impulse to.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So I've got a bit of a weird relationship with it, but
Yeah.
definitely as I'm getting a bit older, I'm definitely drinking less and less because this year in particular, I've been really focusing on my sleep and trying to get good sleep, improve my sleep. And I've got my Fitbit that tracks my
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah. So there's something called your HRV score, heart rate variability. And what that score basically tells you is how ready you are for the next day. So if you're quite ill, your HRV will drop. And whenever I have drinks, bro, my HRV usually is between 50 and 60. That's a really good, well-rested night. It goes down to like the other day I went Craig David, we had loads of drinks, but it ended up going down to 14. And the next day you just feel like a zombie. So I've been tracking my sleep a lot this year, and I've just noticed even if I just have a few drinks, my HRV score drops.
I feel like you think you're getting a better sleep when you're drunk, But
you're not.
what you often realise is you're still knackered for the rest of the day. So I don't think you're actually in that deep sleep that you think you are, right?
Yeah, so when you sleep, there's different cycles, right? So
Yeah.
you have light sleep, which makes up majority of the sleep. Deep sleep. So my deep sleep is about an hour to an hour and a half most nights. The rest of it is light sleep. Then you have your REM sleep, which is where you dream, rapid eye movement. And then you've got, I think that's it. Yeah, so you've got those. So when you're drinking, what happens is you usually miss out some of these stages. So and a lot of weed smokers, they don't get REM sleep, which is quite an important part of sleep.
Okay.
So someone that smokes weed, a lot, and you know, like people, they say they smoke weed and I feel relaxed and I can go to sleep. They're not actually getting good sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then imagine someone's a regular weed smoker, then they stop.
Yeah.
What will happen is, and loads of people say this, they'll get crazy dreams.
Really?
Because what that REM, it's like a build up.
Oh,
and they get like a REM dump. So then they start getting crazy dreams.
Some crazy fucking dreams.
Yeah. So it's like they don't get no dreams
Yeah.
because of the weed, but then they stop and then they get mad dreams. But that will last a few days and then they're back to normal. So yeah, when people think drinking improves their sleep, or it doesn't.
Oh yeah, like, let me have a couple of drinks to
relax.
like nightcaps.
Nightcaps,
Because I used to. I thought, let me have a little nightcap and thinking I'd have a better sleep, but that's not really the case, is it?
Nah, not at all. And then I say, when you start tracking your sleep properly and you start seeing like your HRV scores and all of that stuff, you'll notice like alcohol, it does badly affect your sleep. But one thing because I've been playing around with it, I've realized if I could have like 2 doubles before say 7 p.m. And it won't really affect my sleep that much.
Yeah.
But if I have anything after that or closer to my bedtime, then my sleep gets really affected.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? Knowing how to drink moderately. Because I think even now, like I've had nothing but good influences in my family when it comes to alcohol. Like my dad, I've never seen him drunk. Like my uncles as well, they'd always have a couple of whiskeys and then they call it a day. That was it. But it didn't rub off on me because I went to uni and I was getting smashed like 3-4 days a week. So I fell into that. Like it was just a cultural kind of norm and thing to do. And obviously you go to weddings and obviously you got bottles on the table. It just became the norm for me. I do regret taking it as far as I did. I wish I did do it more moderately. But again, now that I'm into my 30s, I've become very aware of how it can be destructive if I abuse. Like with anything, you abuse it, it's going to be self-destructive, right? So I think it's a case of doing it in moderation. Like, you can have your great nights, but you're playing with fire when you get too drunk, right? Because
it could go the other way.
It could go completely the other way, and sometimes you'll end up doing things that you can't take back as well. So it's definitely one you need to be.
I had to say sorry to my mother-in-law the next day. I was like,
Jesus, mate, I wouldn't be able to look her in the eye the next day.
Honestly,
Jesus.
I'm so embarrassed, man.
At least opened a window, right?
Yeah. And even now, like I talk about it, I actually crack up when I think about it. So it's a funny story, but
it is a funny story. I'll be honest. At least you can look back and laugh at it,
you can look back and laugh.
It is not funny stuff, man. But while we're still on that topic, I know obviously you mentioned weed, cocaine. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, which I think obviously you're not an expert in, but you can talk from experience as well, is psychedelics. So I'm actually able to talk from experience as well. Obviously I'm no expert in it, and people always ask me, psychedelics, Gian, like how did you feel or what did you get from it? And it's a very difficult thing to explain because I feel like everybody has their own individual journey whilst taking it, and obviously it helps you kind of look quite deep within yourself. But for me, the best way that I describe having psychedelics to people, obviously specifically the psychedelic that I took, was that, one, it's an ego killer, which I think is consistent around what a lot of people say. It absolutely shows you, not in a bad way, in some ways in a good way, that you're nothing. It absolutely kind of kills your ego in that sense that there's a lot more to life than just you, so to speak. But also another thing that I'd say is it's like I was living my life with a curtain down and someone had just lifted the curtain once I took it, and everything that I'd been worrying about in life, it showed me that doesn't matter. And that's probably the best way I can summarize it. And I can see how it can have positive impacts on people. I can see potentially, again, how it needs to be handled with care as well. But what would you say your experience or knowledge is of psychedelics?
Yeah, so I've done DMT before, right?
Yeah.
Which is I think dimethyltryptamine.
Yeah.
You find it in plants, and the way I did it with two of my friends, I think this is my 32nd birthday, so I'm 34 now.
Was there curiosity as well as to why you did it?
Yes.
Because I feel like there's always a point as to when people decide to do it, like you're actually trying to look within yourself for something. Did you feel that? Were you looking for answers, or were you just experimenting?
Yeah, no, so with me, it wasn't so much, because at this point, like, again, I think my life was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really have too many worries or anything like that. But I had heard about it mainly through the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah. But I heard about it for years ago. And my friends as well, so two of my friends that done it with me, we always had said from even like maybe even 7 years before we even did it, like, yeah, one day we would like to do it. Right. And it turns out that one of my other friends who has to play football with, he is well into it, and he can get it, and he was actually the person we spoke to, and he
can take you through the journey of it.
Yeah, so he was our shaman.
Yeah.
So he came, we did it in my gym. So, you know, he comes, and it was basically we had to put these eye drops in.
That's a Sananga.
Yeah, that's
right?
Sananga,
Which I did during my Cambo,
Yeah, so that
burns like a motherfucker
really
for about
burns.
a minute, right?
Yeah.
But it passes. It passes.
It passes, and it's meant to clear your vision, right? So before we did the DMT, we had to fast for, I think it was like, don't eat anything, I think it was like 12 or 18 hours before, something like that.
Yeah.
Then it was also, we put the eye drops in. We also did that hape, the one.
That's the through your nose,
Yeah, so it's like this kind of brownish powder, you snort it,
type
thing, like a bamboo shoot.
Yeah, it's out like a bamboo stick, like the Indians back in the day. Yeah.
That was like if I did it, we did it both nostrils, but if you did it in this one, this side of your head would really hurt.
Yeah, I can't remember, because obviously I did that through my Cambo treatment, and it's like I felt like something
pressure,
like a pressure in my head. It was really weird.
It almost feels like someone's almost punching in the back of the head type thing. So, but that you start to like gag and like that's meant to again clear your system. Right? So he did the eye drops, burnt like hell, did that. Then the guy just had like some doof going around. So anyway, the way to do the DMT was like, it's almost like a weed joint. So it's rolled up in like a spliff, and you do 3 rounds of it. So the first round is so it was my friend, my other friend, and me. I went last year, so I could see my friend doing it, and he's just literally smoking it like you would smoke weed. Inhale it in. The guy's like our shaman. He's counting it with you. He's like, inhale, and then he's like, right, keep it in. Boom. And then anyway, I see my friend just like after a few tokes, we were like lying on the floor. He just like boom, conked out. Next friend, same thing. Then I'm lost. I'm thinking, fuck. I'm looking at these like, they're looking a bit mash up. and then so anyway, we do it, and then it lasts. So anyway, you go down, boom, and I'm just there lying down. And then the first round, and people, there's quite a bit of a common story between everyone that does it. They're like, the first round is like you have to let go. And even when I was researching it before, everyone was like, you have to let go. If you don't let go, it's not going to be a good experience.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, before I've gone in, I'm thinking, okay, gotta let go. So I have this like almost these two like demonic faces.
Did it become scary at any point?
Yeah, so there's like some but it's like my own face.
Yeah.
But in like a demon type.
Okay, yeah.
And they're like putting their hands on me and they're doing this, and I feel like my soul's coming out, like rising out. Yeah. And that was the first round. But the thing is, there's so many things going on, you don't really remember too much. So every time we did a round, it lost about 10 minutes. Yeah, so you're out for 10 minutes.
But I felt like it lasted a lot longer while you were in the trip.
You were in it. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, when you come out, so we all kind of got back to normal.
Yeah.
And then our shaman guy, he was just like, oh, boys, like, how was it? What did you guys see? Like talk about it now, because you're going to forget everything soon, yeah? So we were all talking, and we all had similar type things, but different as well. Like one of my friends said he saw these like little kind of angels that were telling him, come with me. But with my one, so the first round, all I remember is those like me, like those demonic things and stuff. Second round was like loads of colors and shapes and things I can't even describe.
Yeah.
But what was prominent for me was like a monkey's head. Yeah. And then when I was researching it after, I thought about Hanuman, the Hindu god. And you know, in Hinduism, there's a lot of this type of realm almost.
Yeah.
And you kind of go into this weird realm.
Yeah.
That was the second round. Again, don't really remember too much. And all I remember that everything was moving way too fast. Like I just couldn't keep up. Loads of colors and all of that. Third round, I was shitting it. I was like, I don't want to do another one.
Yeah.
But the guy's like, nah, look, you got to do 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So we do the third one. And then in the third one, I remember when I was doing it, so the shaman, my friend, he's got all these tattoos on his arms. So as I was doing it, I was going under. I could see all the tattoos moving around. Yeah.
Really?
Proper. I was looking at so my gym's got fake grass in there. The grass is all moving around.
Yeah.
Go under again. I don't really remember too much of what happened, but I remember what he said to us before that round. He goes, guys, when you guys are kind of coming out of it, I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to sit you guys outside in the garden.
Yeah.
So there's me and my 2 friends, we're all sitting there on the floor and we're looking at like the plants and they're all moving and
Wow.
yeah, even like back on my nanny's house, we did it again at my nanny's house, yeah, but they were in India. So
your nanny walked in while
she
you're
was like, what the hell is going on here? But even like in the windows were moving and my dog as well. So my dog's barking away.
Yeah.
But it's like his bark just sounded different. The plants like really vibrant colors.
Yeah.
I remember I had a basketball that was next to me, and even the basketball, the patterns on the basketball were just all moving around.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we come out of it.
Yeah.
And then me and my 2 friends, then my other mate, the shaman went. We went to Windsor. We got a pint, and we were just talking about it. But it was really surreal.
Yeah.
Very hard to explain. I felt like it was way too fast, so I couldn't really get anything from it.
Were there any like anything mentally that stayed with you? Would you say, or that maybe changed you a little bit in any way? Or
I don't think I changed too much. But for example, my friend who did it with me, he ended up quitting his job.
Wow.
And he works with me now. So
is he?
Yeah, so he's a personal trainer now. He got qualified.
Yeah.
But after the trip, he's ended up having a whole career change, everything, whole life change.
Yeah.
Whereas my other friend that did it, he's quite similar. Like I don't think too many changes. Same with me. I think I'm quite similar as well.
Maybe that tells you something in itself, that you're at a place where you're meant to be in life.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it was telling you.
I was thinking at the point of going in, I was quite everything's quite stable. Like I had been doing the online coaching for a bit, so I was on that path already. Things are looking good. We got our own house, me and my wife. So it's like kids are there.
Yeah.
I think everything's quite stable. So
Yeah.
But then I've heard as well when other people have done it that are kind of like you said, maybe searching for something. They found a lot. Like one of my clients, his mum had passed away. And he had, I'd put a video about this whole DMT experience on Instagram. I put it on Instagram, like, this is my experience doing it. He reached out to me and he ended up doing it with our shaman. Put them in contact. And he ended up, I think he's done it a few times. But when I spoke to him, he's like, bro, I got so much out of it. It really helped with my grieving and everything. So I think it depends like what you're going in for and what you're carrying.
I guess if you go in with an intention of wanting to find out about something, maybe you'll find it. I think more so for me, it wasn't DMT that I did. It was shrooms, but it was a specific type of shrooms that I did. Again, it wasn't like there was anything specific I wanted to get out of it, but I just had like an intrigue that from a self-development point of view, there's something that I need to find out about myself. I need to strip myself back a little bit here and really get to know myself a bit more, maybe. And I did have a friend with me who was with me, making sure that I was okay and I was good. I did have like a multi-dimensional trip.
Yeah.
He put on, I don't know if you've ever seen it, the Big Les show.
Oh, no.
Oh, mate, yeah, it's a show that you're meant to watch while you're going through a trip. It's like a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
But it's such a sick thing to watch if you're like going through a trip. Like honestly, it's really funny as well at the same time. And but I found myself having a multi-dimensional trip. And one of the things, how it weirdly affected me is like maybe in a lot of the training I I do, maybe I need a little bit of ego and aggression, or with the way that I train, or even with football, like I'm really competitive to get into it and whatnot. It killed a little bit of it, and I was still always weight training all the time afterwards, but I felt like I didn't have that like grit that I
Yeah,
maybe
that oomph.
usually I'm used to having. Still, I'd obviously carry on training, and I feel like it took me a good maybe few months or over a year to get a bit of that back. And not saying it was a bad thing, because maybe I needed to go through that, and maybe I needed to have
chill out
that
slightly,
ego
or-
killer. And maybe you didn't have that ego that needed killing to
Yeah,
that
potentially,
extent.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what I mean. That's why I feel like everyone's experiences are going to be different, because it's based on your programming as a person from quite young, and how you've developed into a person as well, and how you want to change or stay the same or whatever it may be.
One thing it opened up for me for sure is when it comes to like religion and
Yeah.
God and like, I believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
I believe there's like a higher energy, and I've always been quite positive. I've always prayed for things, but I've never done like the Sikh prayers. I've always I was saying to you before, I go to the Gurdwara once a week, but I don't do like the Mool Mantra or anything like that. I'm there and I'm just thankful for my life. I say things like, hope my family are healthy and happy. Hope my business is going well. Like, I'm quite.
It's like, there's an entity up there, right?
Yeah.
There is something there.
There's something there, but I'm not a religious person. But when I did this DMT thing, it just definitely confirmed that there's a whole different
There's so much more going on.
realm, dimension, something.
That's what it told me as well. Like, I was like, we're looking at things in such a clouded way.
Yeah.
Our mind, that there's so much more going on that
We can't see.
I feel like the reason we're not seeing it is because we can't handle it, maybe.
Yeah.
Which I feel is what it potentially could be. So we see what we want to see in a way, but there's definitely a lot more.
Yeah, so with the DMT thing,
Yeah.
what it is, we produce it in our
Yeah.
brain already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way you can access it more naturally is through like deep meditation. So people they meditate and they get into these like trances. Me smoking it was like a mad shortcut.
Yeah. It's a shortcut to getting it, right? Yeah.
So basically that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that going in. I was like, you can produce it naturally from your pineal gland.
Yeah.
And when you dream, that's actually what gets released.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people that are, like I said, that have been meditating for years and years, they cannot really access it. But yeah, I think that's what it is they're accessing. They're able to access it. And I think part of me not taking too much from it or it being too fast for me because I probably wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
If I'd been like deep meditating for a long time and kind of accessing it naturally,
Yeah.
maybe when you do it, you get a lot more from it.
Yeah.
But that's where I think they said that ayahuasca is more of a slower trip. So DMT is like a mad potent. What we done was
Yeah,
very
it's meant to be
potent.
quite a 15, 20 minute, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. When you do ayahuasca, it can be a few hours as well. Your
Yeah.
trip. So I think that's a whole different. It's a similar plant they give you, but it's
Yeah.
not as potent. So
Yeah.
it's more of a slower ride.
Yeah, because like I said to you before the podcast, I was just talking to somebody yesterday who said they did ayahuasca and it knocked them for 6, and it took them about 6 months, and it sent them on a journey of like self-discovery and finding themselves again. I don't know if you ever saw Deontay Wilder, obviously known as the guy who savagely goes around knocking everyone out. And I think he had a fight which he lost, and it just seemed like a completely different fighter. And in his interview afterwards, he said, yeah, I've done ayahuasca. He's like, listen, I'm happy. I don't mind I've lost. Like, he's like, my family's set. You can just tell it put him into a completely different mentality, killed his ego. And for boxing, that's an ego you need. But you can see how it does transform a person in a certain way as well. Because in boxing, maybe you do somehow need to cloud yourself and have that ego to be able to compete in a sport
Try
like
to be the
that.
best, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's
an interesting one.
It is, and obviously there's links to psychedelics being used to cure things like depression and
they're getting
anxiety. So that whether that ever comes to the fore and it ever gets used, we'll have to see. But yeah, I've always seen it as a bit of I've always had intrigue, especially when it comes to. Yeah, because I always feel like there is more to life, and I've always wanted to know what that
same.
is.
That's
and
what I was
yeah,
very
so
interested
I've
in.
always been quite interested and inquisitive with things like that. But let's move on, because I know we've got a lot of things to get through. Ozempic, and I think it's Kilimanjaro. And I think it's what is it called again?
Manjaro.
Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. The Manjaro is like a similar thing. But yes, also they are GLP-1s, which basically they mimic hormone, a peptide in our body already, right? Basically, what it does, it stimulates insulin production from the pancreas. So that's why people with diabetes, they are giving it to them. Because when someone has type 2 diabetes, their pancreas is not producing enough insulin. So this stimulates that, and it also decreases your body's glucagon hormone, which is basically when your blood sugar drops too low, your body will release glucagon. So it stops that, or it reduces that, and it increases insulin. So it basically reduces blood sugar levels. Also, it slows down gastric emptying. So basically, you stay fuller for a lot longer. In the kind of summary of it, it kills your appetite. Yeah, so people that take it, it's really good for weight loss because it literally, you don't feel hungry at all. And the issue with it though, is because you're not hungry, you don't eat enough protein, and you end up losing lots of muscle.
Can you not just force feed yourself? Or?
You can, yeah. So if you're...
Or is it a really hard force feed, do you think?
Because you know what? Protein already keeps you quite full. So out of the macronutrients, you've got your protein, your fats, and your carbs. Protein is the one that is the most satiating. So that keeps you the fullest, right? So you're taking this Ozempic or whatever. You're not feeling hungry anyway. And then when you're having protein, that kind of keeps you quite full as well. So it's like, it's very hard to hit the protein when you're taking it. And that's where people are going wrong. So people are taking it and they're losing a lot of weight, but they're losing muscle and fat. And you want to preserve and protect that muscle as much as possible.
So you think it'd probably be beneficial to say to anybody who's thinking of taking Ozempic or Mounjaro, get yourself a coach like yourself first, right? Who can guide you through it in terms of the nutrition side of things, right? Because you not just aimlessly take it.
I've got 2 clients that are actually taking it.
Okay. And would you suggest it to any of your clients?
No, so I wouldn't. Actually, you know what? If I've got a client who is metabolically unhealthy, they're holding high levels of body fat, maybe they're type 2 diabetic, and let's just say they are struggling. They're struggling with the diet, they're struggling with everything, they're not really making improvements. I would say, look, as almost like a last resort, I think you can take it. It can be done very safely. But again, you must focus on your protein intake. You must lift weights because 2 things protect muscle. It's protein and actually exercising, lifting those weights. So what most people are doing is they're maybe doing cardio and they're taking it and they're not really eating. So the muscle loss, and if you lose loads of muscle, your metabolism really drops. Your metabolism will drop anyway when you lose weight. But losing muscle mass, it drops really low as well. And then you're going to run into issues of, are you going to be taking it for the rest of your life? What happens when you stop taking it? You haven't learned how to properly, manage your food and your diet. So when you stop taking it, your hunger, appetite comes back. You're going to be eating the same shit you were before.
Straight back,
So there's definitely...
So a coach can be beneficial doing it alongside, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a way to do it. But it's got very popular now. And I think more so in like America, it's widely prescribed. But even I say I've got 2 clients that are doing it.
Are there any more health implications to it?
There's, from what I've seen...
Side effects?
So muscle loss is a big one. There's also bone density loss as well. So even with a lack of protein, so like your bone density can start to drop down a bit. So that's quite dangerous. The other side effects are like vomiting, nausea, but I think that is very dose dependent as well. So it's like, I think basically the way you take it is like a little injection you put in your stomach, and it's usually 1 a week, but there's different doses. So obviously if you do a high dose, so you've got to understand your dosing, you've got to get it prescribed by a doctor. But yeah, I think it's a big debate in the fitness industry. I don't see it as a bad thing. Right? I don't think, oh no, you should never do it. Because there are coaches that are like really demonizing it. But my thing is, look, if you are going to do it, because it is almost like a last resort, you've tried everything. You've tried, calorie counting, intermittent fasting, you might have tried loads of things. You might have tried online coaches. Like if it's really...
It has its uses, right?
Because at the end of the day, why people are unhealthy, the number one reason is usually because they're overweight and they're holding too much body fat. If I can get someone to lose body fat, all their health markers will improve. I think on the last podcast, I was telling you about the guy that ate McDonald's every day.
Yeah.
There's another guy, I've done a post on him recently. His
I think I've seen this post as well.
nutrition professor in America. And what he did was he ate 1,800 calories a day for 10 weeks straight.
And it's just junk food though.
Yeah, so a big pot of his calorie intake was Dorito crisps, Mount Dew fizzy drink, Oreos, and I think I can't remember something else as well. But it was like highly processed junk food. But 1,800 calories a day, didn't exceed that. He lost a lot of weight. He lost a lot of fat. He ended up, his blood markers all improved. He got healthier.
Is there any way that those blood markers, even though it showed initial improvement, could there be longer term side effects?
Yeah,
right?
so that's what I think.
Which is the unknown.
Yeah, because I think, okay, imagine someone like myself who's already in quite good shape. If I was to go on that type of diet, I think that would negatively impact my
Surely
health.
you'd be feeling mentally like shit as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the way you feel. So this is where people get really confused about dieting and calories and everything like that. My thing has always been have a 80 to 90% healthy diet.
Which is sustainable, right?
High fibers, whole foods, those types of things. They make you feel good, energized, keep you full. But give yourself 10, 20%. Like I have a chocolate bar every day.
Yeah.
Every single day I have a chocolate bar. I'll have a bit of...
Yeah, I've got a proper sweet tooth.
Yeah.
I need my chocolate after a meal.
Yeah, but you know what I've done, which is really good now? People think I'm a bit weird. But you know your Galaxy chocolate bar?
Yeah.
You get 6 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can literally just have 1 or 2 pieces and that's it. So one chocolate bar could last me.
Oh, man, no, I can't do it. If I'm having it, I'm having the whole bar.
So that's the thing, right? But
That's discipline, to be fair.
Yeah. So I used to have it with a cup of tea. So I have a cup of tea. I'll have... And you know
Very
what?
sensible.
Yeah. Now I've done it for so long.
Yeah.
If I was to eat the whole bar, it would feel way too sweet for me. But this is what I'm saying to people. Like, I have a takeaway once a week. I eat roti.
Yeah.
2-3 times a week I eat roti.
Yeah.
You can still eat all these foods if you're within your calories and your goal is to lose body fat. Like most of my clients are having roti on their plan. You know, they're having, I put a takeaway on as an option once a week if they want it.
Yeah.
I've even had one client of mine ate Nando's every day and lost loads of weight because I understood his calories.
Yeah.
He can't
Smashed
cook,
it.
he can't do anything, so he ate Nando's every day.
Okay.
Obviously high protein and Nando's.
Yeah.
But I tell people that, and this is what I say to my clients, I'm like, tell me what you want in your diet. Someone might say, Arjhan, you know what, I do like a packet of crisps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, cool, which one do you like? Tell me which one they like. I put it in as an option on their diet.
Yeah.
Imagine they've got 3 different options for snacks. One of the options could be crisp and something. The other one could be like fruit with a protein yogurt. And what I find over time is they'll have the crisp sometimes, but they'll say to me, Arjhan, I don't even have the crisps that much anymore. Whereas if I said to them before from the get-go, you can't have any crisps.
Yeah.
You can't have any chocolates. On their mind, they're going to be thinking, I want crisps, I want chocolates. Like it's going to be on their mind constantly when you try to take it away from them. So I'm like, listen, you can have whatever you want. You tell me what's your favorite food, I'll put it on your plan. But you must follow the rest of the plan as it is. So it's just understanding how do we budget these things into their plan, hit the calories, hit the protein. They're the main 2 things, calories and protein. And then you've got fiber as the third thing to focus on.
Yeah.
A diet that's high in fiber, and we want to aim for about 30 grams of fiber a day. If you're hitting the calories, the protein, the fiber, by default, you've got a pretty good diet there anyway. Because things that are high in fiber, like fruits and vegetables and things of that nature, nuts and avocados. So if you can hit those 3, you're good. Don't overcomplicate it. So many people think, what time should I eat? You know, what particular food should I eat? I'm like, listen, just calories, protein and fiber. That is it. Drink lots of water. That's your diet sorted. It's not that hard.
I think that's the thing. I think sometimes people maybe think it needs to be overcomplicated, but sometimes if you just strip it right back and, like you said, be efficient with your calories as well, and the macros within that, then you can make it work for yourself. But moving on to the next topic, so this is a bit of an interesting one, which I'm quite intrigued to get your thoughts on as well. So, are protein shakes having a long-term negative impact on our health? And you sent me a really interesting case study, which I'm just going to read out a small extract. And I want to get your thoughts on it as well. Because I've been going through a bit of a journey with protein shakes? Am I overdoing it? Do I need to come away from it? And yeah, just coming across this case study that you sent me. So it says, where are we? So studies are showing that the regular use of protein powders can carry long-term health risks. A study you shared with me mentions that many protein powders contain... Hold on, let me read this again.
It's like the plastic.
Yeah, many
right?
protein powders contain contaminants such as BPA, which is bisphenol A, I think it's called. So this is known to interfere with hormone regulation and potentially cause reproductive issues and other hormonal imbalances. The same study also found elevated levels of heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and more. And shockingly, plant-based protein powders were particularly affected, with 75% containing measurable levels of lead. What's your thoughts on that? Is that something you're aware of? Should we be cutting down how much we're having protein powders and things?
So I think it's not even just protein powders. It's across the board. So it's the packaging it's in.
Yeah.
Right. So these plastics, they are basically because they're the protein powders in these plastic dub beer whatever tubs. What's happening is these they're kind of
the chemicals
into the
in
protein, and then you're obviously ingesting that and it's getting into your body. Now, the thing to do though.
So then that's the mercury and lead thing. That's a separate thing though, right?
I think that's still part of So that was found in the more vegan, the plant-based proteins, right? So that was quite interesting as well. So that's something when I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is a bit of a new thing. But from what I know, it's what you've got to do is when you do buy your protein powder, you need to go to a reputable brand.
Who do you go to?
So I use Gold Standard whey protein.
Okay, yeah.
So they're quite they're massive.
OG.
Yeah, like an old school one. Yeah. But even when I've done this bit of research, and I went on their website to see if they're like if their containers are, if they're aware of all this stuff, and glad to see that on their FAQs it was asked already, and they were like, no, our packaging is all like
BPA free.
Yeah. So I think it's just going. I think most reputable brands will be fine. It's just the problem we've got now is I can start making my own supplements, right? And especially I think Europe's not as bad as America. But in America, you can make a supplement, you can put it in shelves in the shops without it being FDA approved. So what you need to be looking at, is it FDA approved supplement? If it is, that's good. But you can actually sell without it being approved.
Yeah.
So I think it's just understanding that there's so many supplements on the market. You've got to be quite careful with who you're going with. Do your research. But these toxins and these microplastics are getting into our bodies, and that's why you'll see people as well. They're moving away from plastic containers a lot. Reheating in plastic containers, better to reheat in glass. Even like chopping boards, you get the plastic ones. Better to use wood ones. Yeah. So, and what is over time, I'm not sure how strong the links are, but these things are causing, people are saying, linked with cancers and stuff like that. Again, I'm not like an expert in the field, but my advice is that if you're going to go get something, just make sure that you go with reputable brands. And then just double check that they're BPA approved. Yeah,
because obviously when I came across this, I'd been hearing about this kind of briefly before, and I've always had a bit of a sensitive stomach. And what I've noticed is when I was younger, I was fine with it, but as I'm getting older, I feel like my stomach's kind of rejecting the shakes in a way, and I'm not handling it as well as I used to.
As well, Gian, so a lot of the shakes it's whey protein, right?
So
whey is like dairy. And most of us, so I think 65% of the population is lactose intolerant. So lots of people have a lactose problem.
So it's not always black and white, that it's specifically what.
So it could be, if you are lactose intolerant, you want to go for a whey isolate. So that's more refined, it's easier on the stomach. So if I've got a client who is lactose intolerant, I could say to them, try a whey isolate. Usually they're okay. They're a bit more expensive, but it's, and the thing is, it's not always just, like you said, you can't just point out one thing. It might be a number of factors that are going on. What I would say though is some people will say don't have whey protein or don't have protein shakes at all. My view on that is no, whey protein is actually really good. It's one of the most bioavailable protein sources, meaning our body can really utilize that protein. It's higher on the scale than eggs, right? So you've got like your meats and stuff are usually higher. Your veggie protein sources are a bit lower down on the like bioavailability score. But whey protein ranks the highest. So if you're someone that trains and you need to be hitting a high amount of protein, which is usually take your body weight. If you're fairly lean, take your body weight, multiply by 2. That's how many grams of protein you want to get. So I'm about 82. I'm looking at 160 grams, 170 grams of protein a day. To get that just through food is quite hard.
It's difficult, right?
Yeah, so I have a shake every morning, but I have it in like a smoothie.
Yeah.
I put raspberries, blueberries, banana, I put oats. I get about 60 grams of protein in my shake every morning.
Yeah.
And that sets me up really nicely.
It does. It's convenient, right? Especially when you're living the busy lives that we are. I guess my only concern is our bodies are handling the shakes now at this age where our bodies are more so wanting to kind of reset to default. But in 10, 20, 30 years' time, what damage will it be doing over a longer period of time to our gut health if it's true, like it says, with this lead, mercury, and BPA and
those contaminants aren't
shakes.
good. Yeah, they're not good. So again, if you go for a proper reputable brand, they shouldn't have those in there.
That's key, though, right? Isn't it? If what is being said is true, then you really need to research the powders that we're using, right?
Yeah, anything you put into your body, you should have a fairly good idea. And this is what surprises me so much.
How many times a week do you have protein shakes? And how many times a week? Every day?
Every day. Monday to Sunday.
Do you think that's okay?
Yeah, I think completely fine. Yeah, and I've got my blood work done, everything. Yeah. Completely healthy. All good.
Yeah.
This is the other thing as well. My line of business is very much mostly catered around fat loss. Now, I know for someone to have a successful fat loss journey, they need to have obviously the right amount of calories. They need to be in a deficit. They need to be eating enough protein to protect the muscle. Now, if you don't get enough protein in and you end up losing muscle, you're going to be unhealthier. So you're better off getting the protein in and maintaining and building muscle. And muscle actually improves your insulin sensitivity as well. So type 2 diabetes in Indian culture, in the Indian population, we're one of the worst for it. Yeah. Right? We've got one of the highest risk factors for type 2 diabetes. A big part of that is because most up in here don't eat enough protein, they don't train, they don't have muscle. Yeah. Even just from a natural perspective, you compare Indians to like Gale, Gorde, whatever, they tend to just have more muscle on them, like naturally. Whereas you think about India, you think about vegetarians, a lot of them, skinny arms, pot belly, skinny fat. And they don't have enough muscle. And if you don't have enough muscle, actually, we can store glycogen in our muscle. Yeah. So that can bring your blood sugars, they can store it in the muscle. So if you've got a lot of muscle, you can store more of it. So if your blood sugars are higher, you've got more of a storage capacity. And when it doesn't store in your muscle, then it can store into fat, which is not so good. So we have to understand that muscle is really important. Hitting your protein is really important. If you're not getting enough protein in, supplements are very helpful. So that's the way I always look at it, because I'd rather someone hit their protein. Yeah. But you got to go for the right brands and stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be researching, because I'm pretty sure the brand that I have isn't one of the recognised, reputable ones. But just moving on swiftly again, because there's so much, we probably won't be able to fit everything into into this single podcast. But working from home, do you think that's destroying a lot of people's physical and mental health?
Yeah, massively. So I think, obviously, since COVID, big push was made, right? Everyone had to work from home. Now you'll see lots of people, they'll work from home maybe a couple of days a week, and they go into the office. I think that's fine. That's a good balance. But then there are some people that still just work from home most of the time. And the problem I find is, so I've got some clients that do both, right? When they go into the office, I always track their steps daily. Their steps are way higher because they have to commute, they have to take the train.
Just the little stuff sometimes as well, moving around the office.
Just moving around, right? And then when I can see when they're working from home, their steps are way lower. Like, it's honestly, I've had some clients that don't even do more than 2,000 steps a day. I'm like, you've barely moved in the day, right? And And then also you're sitting behind a computer on a desk. And even with myself, what I found is when I've gone from personal training to online coaching, my day now is Zoom calls. So I'm sitting on a desk, on a laptop, checking in with people. And I've went from predominantly a standing job all day, when I'm training people, just moving around, moving the weights, lifting this, lifting that. So my lower back's been bugging me. I've got a bit of a disc bulge there as well.
Just so you got a new chair as well.
Yeah, so I've got a new chair now because I was like, I need to sort this out. Because what was happening is I've always had a couple of issues with my lower back. But it's never been too bad. But recently it's got way worse since I've been sitting in a desk a lot more. And loads of people have back pain issues. Obviously overweight as well. That doesn't help. But yeah, working from home, I've found that loads of the clients just don't move that much. And I do feel like it's negatively impacting them.
Yeah, because I think what I've found, talking from experience, so I work from home 3 days a week. And obviously during COVID, it was 5 days a week, right? I don't think people realise how detrimental it can be to, first of all, your mental health. Just staring at a screen all day, hardly moving, not getting any sunlight. You start to feel like shit. Like, honestly, I just worked from home the other day. It was a really busy day as well. I was on and off of meetings, completely forgot to really get any movement in before I went to the gym, which is, I think, 6 in the evening. People would think, oh, you're well rested, you've chilled, you'll have a great gym session. I had the worst gym session I've had in months, just purely because I was still in that lethargic state of sitting behind a desk, just like, literally just eyes glued to a screen. I found it really hard to get myself going again. And obviously lack of fresh air. And what I've also found is, as humans, we weren't built to be just sitting down all day, right? And I think from a gut health perspective as well, you need to be moving, you need to be active. Things need to be moving around in your body, right? And just sitting still in one place constantly, which is almost identical to when you're sleeping. Just imagine the stuff that's not happening in your body that should be. But and I think that's something that can progressively get worse over time, right? If you don't keep it in check, like go on your lunchtime walks, or you do have to consciously make the effort there, because it's very easy to fall into that habit of just sitting behind a desk and just zoning in, doing your work, which, like, even for you now, I'm sure it's a challenge, right? Because you're an online coach, so
exactly. So
what advice would you give to people who are working from home?
So I would definitely so one of the best things you could do in the morning is get natural light in your eyes and get some movement. So simply going for a walk outside. I think if you can start your day, if you can wake up a little bit earlier, start your day with, it'll be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you can do. Go get a walk first thing in the morning. In 10 minutes of walking, you should be able to do 1,000 steps. Yeah, so I kind of figured that out. So, if you could go for a half an hour walk, you started your day with 3,000 steps already. Also, why that's important, natural light coming into your eyes, it starts off your circadian rhythm. What that is, that's like your natural body clock.
Okay.
Right? So you've got your natural body clock. When you wake up in the morning, there's different hormones at play. Some are coming down, some are starting to come up. The natural light in the eyes is almost like it's a start button. So now your body's starting on the right foot. And the movement helps with that. Also, eating at regular times is important. So if you've got breaks, like make sure, breakfast, lunch, dinner, try to have them at the same time every day. Try to go sleep and wake up at the same time every day. That's really important because you want to get your body in this rhythm.
I find that helps me, when I do certain things the same way every day. One, it gives me routine, gives me structure. I remember what I'm doing, and you feel like more centered, don't you? In terms of
energy levels are a lot more steadier. So I have my first meal of the day at 11 every day. Now I wake up around 6. So that's like 5 hours later I'm eating. I won't feel hungry, but then as soon as 11 hits, my stomach knows it's like time to eat. So then I'll start feeling hungry. I have my lunch. I kind of do intermittent fasting without doing intermittent fasting. I have a coffee in the morning. I have my breakfast at 11 every day.
That's exactly what I do, so I have a coffee first earlier, then I have my first bit of food at 11,
And then I have my lunch. I have my lunch. I usually train at lunchtimes now. So I'll train from 1:30 to 2:15. So I'll train for 45 minutes. Then I eat lunch as soon as I come back. and then I carry on working till about 4 or 5, and then I go for a walk. I take my dog in the evening. I take my dogs in the morning for a walk as well.
Yeah.
So the morning walk, evening walk. But one thing I would say to people that are working from home is, start your day with a walk. And if you've got 10 minutes between meetings, just get up and move around. Go for a 10-minute walk even.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes a difference, doesn't it?
Massive.
Just getting that fresh air as well, getting that sunlight.
And also, I think we said working from home, you've got the social aspect of it as well. So actually meeting people and like actual people, not behind a screen. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Because we're built for social interaction. So I think, and then the other thing I would say to people that are working from home is, at night, set yourself an evening alarm. Yeah, this alarm, when it goes off, that's your, put everything away, put your phone away. Because I think we all have the morning alarm. But if you can set the evening alarm, and you should set that alarm 8 hours before you need to get up. So if I get up at 6, 8 hours before that is 10 p.m. Alarm goes off at 10 p.m. If you're watching something on Netflix, whatever, just shut it down, get in bed. Takes me a half an hour to fall asleep, and then I've got a good 7.5 hours of sleep there.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important as well, just regular sleep times.
Okay. Yeah, no, again, it's advice I'm going to be taking, because, again, it's very easy to fall into these bad habits, right?
Yeah, scroll on Instagram, keep scrolling away.
You need to keep these habits, routines, structure in place to keep you, keep you sane, to be honest. But we're coming towards the end of the podcast, but let's just go back to you for a second. What are you trying to do now, kind of personally? You're quite lean, you're quite ripped. Is that a physique you're just trying to maintain now? Would you ever bulk? Like, or what are you trying to do? Is it just about maintaining, living that healthy lifestyle, longevity?
Yeah, my thing is, I've always been quite happy with my physique. And I'll be honest, I've never even tried to go on a big bulk or anything.
Yeah.
I've tried to get a little bit big. I increase my calories a little bit.
I don't think you ever feel good on a bulk. Surely not, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're competing, fair enough. But otherwise, would you go on a bulk?
No, so like I'm in a position now where I'm about 82 kilos, roughly around there. If I'm going on a holiday...
That's a very good weight for someone like
your height. I'm quite
well.
light. Yeah, I'm quite light for my height. But let's say I'm going on a holiday. What I try to do, I try to keep my body at a level where if I was going... I'm going to Ibiza in a few months, right?
Yeah, you can step it up.
Yeah, then I can get a bit leaner.
Get the pump for
yeah. So like I'll do like a 4-week mini cut.
Yeah.
And that's all I need. So I'm like, I keep myself very close to like my leanest look.
Yeah.
I'm a few body fat percentage above that. So say like my leanest, I might be 11% body fat.
Yeah.
But I float around 13%.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, my personal goals are just to keep training.
Yeah.
I'm focusing now because of a few injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely a bit more mobility work.
Yeah.
Which I've started to incorporate every morning.
Yeah.
I do 10 minutes every day of core work.
Yeah.
Especially to help my back. And it's just to feel fit and healthy, play with my kids without any, issues. Training for me is just like part of my life. It's just routine. I train 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Again, my sessions are only 45 minutes long. I do a lot of walking. But yeah, my thing is just stay fit, stay healthy, try to stay long term. Because for me to go to the like next level physique, and I've had so one of my cousins, he kept saying to me, "You should do a bodybuilding show." Yeah, like you should, like get on stage. And I've always looked at that whole thing as, I think it's weird. Yeah, I think you got a bunch of guys on stage.
Don't fancy putting on a good cheer.
Yeah, honestly, and then you're getting judged by some other guys.
Yeah,
it's actually like, if you look at it, it's just from an outside perspective. If you look at it, what the hell is this? Yeah, I respect the bodybuilders. It's a very hard thing to do, and to get that lean. But just quickly to circle back as well, like a lot of these guys, when we're talking about the steroids, a lot of the professional all of them are taking steroids.
Yeah,
every single one. You got your natural shows, which is different, but even those, like, they don't really test you anyway.
Yeah.
And with steroids, I think the guys that are doing it on stage, it's like, I understand if you become like a professional bodybuilder and that's your life. Like, okay, cool, that's fine. Like, and the risk to reward kind of ratio, but they don't even get paid that much. Yeah. It's only the top like 2% that might actually.
What about the casual gym goers? Because now there's a lot of pressure with social media.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of casual gym goers who now feel the pressure, especially men, to start taking steroids. But again, I think a lot of people now do it without a lot of consideration for the long-term health implications, or they may not even be at a stage where they're fully aware of how they should be training or nutrition, and they can end up doing a lot more damage to themselves than good, right?
100%. You'll see a lot of guys just hop on, especially when, like I said, if you're a professional bodybuilder, it's like that. You kind of got to do it, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just doing it to get a bit bigger, and it's like the risk to reward, because you've got to think the way how fast your muscles grow. Your heart can't actually keep up with it.
Yeah.
Your joints can't keep up with it. If you're benching, I don't know, 90 kilos, take gear, 12 weeks later, you're benching 130. Yeah. That pressure on your joints haven't slowly gone up to that. They've gone like from there to there.
I've seen people who have taken stuff, and then, funnily enough, they're the ones who will suffer from pec tears, bicep tears.
Because they can't.
It's because their
body can't handle it.
Yeah, their body literally can't handle it. Yeah.
There's 2 studies actually I want to bring up about steroids. So the first study was done in 1972, so a long time ago. What they did was they took 15 trained athletes. And they said to them, we're going to train you for 7 weeks. And this is your pre-steroid trial. Then the best performers, we're going to take you for 4 weeks. We're going to give you steroids. And, you're going to just, we're going to see how you develop. So over the 7 weeks, all of the guys got stronger. This is naturally, no steroids. I think they increased their major lifts by around 10 kilos. So imagine you're benching 120, it's gone up to 130 over the 7-week period. Now they're taking this subset of them, and they've said to them, look, we're giving you steroids. They're giving them these pills, and they said they're Dynabol pills. They were actually blank pills. They were placebo. This group ended up gaining more than double in the 4 weeks, right, of strength and muscle, or not muscle, but it was strength. Their strength went up by way more because they thought they were on steroids.
Oh, wow.
But they actually weren't on steroids. Then they tell them at the end, listen, these last 4 weeks you haven't been on steroids.
Yeah.
And when they tested their 1 rep maxes, they actually dropped down a little bit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the power of the mind's crazy.
Just shows you mentality does make a...
Yeah, massive. Because they believed they were on steroids, they got, in a 4-week period, they got stronger than they did in a 7-week period. Because they thought they were on.
That's a lesson in self-belief, that is, yeah.
So this placebo effect is massive. And this is why you have to be very careful when it comes to supplements. Most supplements aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of them are bullshit. But people think they're working, and sometimes the power of the mind is so powerful. If you think it's working, it might actually work, even though the actual thing is a blank pill. And then this leads me on to the next study. Was done in 1996. They took over 40 males, and they put them into 4 different groups. Now they told all of them you're taking steroids, but 2 of the groups was actually blank placebo. And 2 of the groups were actually taking steroids. So from the steroid group, you had 1 group that trained and 1 that didn't. Then from the non-steroid group, you had 1 group that trained and 1 didn't. Okay. So then they compared the results and everything after. So the group that took steroids and trained built the most muscle. Yeah, but that goes without saying.
Yeah.
The group that didn't train but were given the placebo pill, their muscle mass went up a tiny bit, but they didn't do no training, so they didn't really go up that much. So now you've got the group that are training. One's actually taking steroids and the other one's taking a placebo. No, sorry. You're left with 2 groups. You've got the group that's taking the steroid but not training versus the group that is training
And
got the placebo.
Oh, got the placebo. Okay. Yeah.
So we're comparing those 2. The group that was taking the steroids and weren't even training, their muscle mass went up more than the group that were actually training with the placebo.
How did their muscle mass go up though? They must have been doing some form of
So
their jobs must be like the labour type jobs.
I think it was quite a controlled study in their activity. So this is what I was like.
Yeah.
I was like, surely they have to break the muscle down for it to build back up, because that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
You train, you break the muscle down, and it rebuilds. But testosterone, they were having 600 milligrams of test per week, right? So I don't even think that's a huge dose, but having way more testosterone it can naturally help you build more muscle. Not I say naturally, it's unnatural, but
Yeah.
but it can help you build more muscle. So steroids are very powerful, and this is where I think people that sometimes you get steroid guys, they'll underplay how much it helps. It's like, listen, you can build a lot more muscle, you can recover a lot faster, so now you can train more frequently.
Yeah.
So it is a massive thing. And then going back to kind of the social pressures we have now, especially with kind of Instagram, it's a very visual world, I call it, right? Everyone's looking, and I do think a lot of the guys, especially younger guys, they haven't even trained properly for 5 years. They haven't even got their nutrition dialed in or anything, and they're jumping on it. And I just think it's Instagram and all of this, even though I'm on it and it's my business basically runs on it, I think it is quite damaging to the younger generation for sure. Something I'm going to do with my kids is I'm not going to give them a smartphone. I'll give them like a normal basic phone so I can text and call them. But I'm not going to give them a smartphone, I think, until they're 16. That's what I said in my head.
That's quite good.
I might give in before that.
It's going to be a fight, but I
Yeah,
can imagine.
I've even seen like certain podcasts talking about this stuff, and they're like, honestly, the advice is try to delay it as long as possible.
Do you know who's really good there? Yeah, Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
I like his approach to if they want this, that's going to cost you $2.
Yeah,
or, you know
they've got to read. Yeah, that's really
You
good.
don't just get things given to you in life, which is it's strict, but I think they'll get value from it, right?
Yeah, I think as well, you know, like, so having kids, right?
Yeah.
Parenting has become, I think a lot of parents now are too soft. So I've got my cousins, they're really soft with their kids. And I'm like, there needs to be a bit of discipline there.
Yeah.
There has to be a bit of a fear factor because us growing up, we didn't do certain things because we're scared of our parents will get slapped, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to slap your kids, but I'm saying there needs to be some sort of fear factor. I think nowadays parents are way too soft. They try to negotiate with their kids too much, and then their kids end up being wrong uns.
I think it's because you get that social pressures as well, right? The kids think, oh, my friend's got this, my friend's got that. So, it's... I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to give any advice. So I don't envy you having to go do that, but I'm sure obviously I'm going to have to go do it at some point.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, no, we've had some great chat there, and I'm sure you might become a regular on this on this podcast now. But no, I appreciate you traveling down. You come from London, so really appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast, and some really informative, interesting, slightly different to the last podcast as well. We talked about psychedelics, Ozempic, alcohol, but hopefully it's relatable stuff that people will want to hear us talk about, right? So thank you for coming on.
Gian,
I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And thank you for watching, everyone. And if you want to find out a little bit more about Arjhan's coaching and what he does, follow him on Instagram. It's Arjhan Rai Fit Gains.
Yeah, Arjhan Rai.fitgains.
.fitgains. Yeah, so give him a follow. And thank you for watching and take care.
Oh,
Boom. Nice one, bro.
Smashed it.